the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about how powerful the wheel is in an article titled The Mother Plane in the book The Fall of America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He writes, quote, "The mother plane, according to what has been described of it by the enemy scientists, is capable of not only staying up for periods of time, but it is also capable of eluding the scientists of this world. They want to attack and destroy it, but if a plane did get close enough to attempt to carry out this purpose, it would be destroyed instead. The scientists of this world have learned that this is not a plane to be played with. On this point of the mother plane's power to destroy a plane that may want to attack it, in 1988, author Timothy Good published a book entitled Above Top Secret, The Worldwide UFO Cover-Up. On page 421, he writes of an incident displaying the power of the wheel. Nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, one of America's leading UFO researchers, on October the 27th, 1977, has obtained details of an alarming incident which included a statement by security specialists attached to a unit of the U.S. Air Force Security Service based with the 6947th Security Squadron, whose mission was the monitoring of all Cuban military communications. In March 1967, Cuban radar installations reported a bogey approaching the Cuban landmass from the northeast. Two MiG-21 interceptors were scrambled when the bogey came across Cuban airspace at an altitude of approximately 10,000 meters at a speed approaching Mach 1, which is 761.20 miles per hour. The interceptors were directed to the bogey by Cuban ground control intercept and were guided to within 5 kilometers of the object. What is the meaning of bogey? It is a military term used to describe an unidentified aircraft or missile, especially one detected as a blip on a radar screen. The wing leader reported the object was a bright metallic sphere with no visible markings or appendages. After a futile attempt to contact the object for identification, Cuban Air Defense Headquarters ordered the wing leader to arm his weapons and destroy the object. The wing leader reported his missiles were armed and radar locked on. Seconds later, the wingman began screaming to the ground controller that the wing leader's aircraft had exploded. After regaining his composure, he further reported that there was no smoke or flame. The aircraft had disintegrated. Cuban radar reported the object quickly accelerated and climbed beyond 30,000 meters, approximately 100,000 feet, or almost 20 miles, and at last report was heading south-southeast toward South America. A spot report was sent to the National Security Agency headquarters, which is standard procedure in any case involving aircraft loss by an enemy country. The NSA is required to acknowledge receipt of such a report. However, they didn't, and therefore we sent a follow-up report. Within hours, we received orders to ship all tapes and pertinent intelligence to the agency, and were told to list the incident in the squadron files as aircraft loss due to equipment malfunction. A statement made at the National Press Club by retired Marine Corps officer Major Donald E. Kehoe, former director of the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, bears witness to the superior power of the wheel. According to Wikipedia, in the 1950s, he became well known as a UFO researcher, arguing that the U.S. government should conduct appropriate research in UFO matters and should release all its UFO files. Major Kehoe was widely regarded as the leader in the field of ufology in the 1950s and early to mid-1960s. Listen to his words.
We are being observed by some type of device which is ahead of us, far ahead of us, and is probably controlled by a highly advanced superior civilization. Now, this is a conclusion which I personally have stated and is shared by some members of our Board of Governors and advisors, not all of them. But it has reached to the point where many people in the Air Force have the same conclusion. In fact, the Air Force at one time had a top secret estimate that these things were interplanetary spaceships. So you will see that this, instead of being a subject for ridicule and a big joke, actually is a serious matter which could affect the lives of all of us.
In Washington, D.C., at the National Press Club, from April the 29th to May the 3rd, 2013, 6 former members of Congress sat as a committee to hear testimony. They are Senator Mike Gravel, Democrat of Alaska, Congresswoman Carolyn Kilpatrick, Democrat of Michigan, Congresswoman Lynn Woolsey, Democrat of California, Congresswoman Darlene Hooley, Democrat from Oregon, and Congressman Roscoe Bartlett, Republican, Maryland, and Congressman Merrill Cook, Republican of Utah. It was called Citizens' Hearings on Disclosure. As their webpage describes it, researchers, activists, and military agency political witnesses representing 10 countries gave testimony in Washington, D.C. about events and evidence indicating an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. Some of the early panel testimony involved the manifestation of the power of the wheel. Also, at the citizen hearings on disclosure, additional panel testimony was given regarding the power of the wheel in disrupting American military nuclear facilities. The full transcripts of the testimonies are available at the Citizens' Hearings webpage, www.citizenhearing.org. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes on page 236 of The Fall of America, and in articles in Muhammad Speaks, June 8th and September 7th, 1973, on the ability of the wheel to create its own atmosphere. He writes, quote, Allah God came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. He taught me that after 6 months to a year, the mother plane comes into the gravity of the earth. It takes on oxygen and hydrogen in order to permit it to stay out of the earth's gravity until it needs refueling again. The wheel is capable of sitting up above Earth's atmosphere for a whole year before coming down into Earth's atmosphere to take on more oxygen and hydrogen for the crew who are on this mother plane. Oh, he writes, she is a wonderful thing. It also carries supplies for the crew on the wheel. So the wheel also has the power to create its own atmosphere as any other planet is able to do. And by its being able to create its own atmosphere, it is able to go anywhere in space it desires, because it is not dependent on power from the earth. On page 240 of The Fall of America, in a section titled Ezekiel's Prophecy of the Wheel, he writes, quote, "Do not marvel at the make of this plane, since it is from the God who made the universe of floating planets and stars, which are supported only by the power of Allah in their rotation in their orbits." The Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes on the evasive and elusive power of the wheel on page 242 of The Fall of America. The mother plane, he says, can hide behind other stars and make herself invisible to the eye, because she does not have to wait on a power from the earth. She can produce her own power to go wherever she desires to go in space. America's planes can't reach the wheel, but America has now developed the weaponry that could rip the wheel apart if they could get to it, but they can't. Listen to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in a lecture series that he gave titled The Theology of Time in Chicago, Illinois, on the 9th day of July, 1972. He says, "So, my dear beloved brothers and sisters, I have given you a description of what's in the skies. There's a scientist or two on that wheel that can tell every spot where America has her bombs and where she has her dreadful weapons. America has something dreadful. Dreadful planes scouting around with bombs that are capable of ripping this wheel apart. But they can't get to it. That scientist on the wheel. If America's bombers are over California, they just go to another place. America has seen it. She has admitted to me that she has seen it, but they cannot get to